All right, so let's actually make some rigids now. That time we talked about rigid bodies in a rigid body class. So let's drop down a geometry node, and we'll call it debris. And basically we're gonna make a bunch of instances that we will be able to attach to some of the particles when they're first born and have them basically simulate as rigids instead of as particles. So basically we just wanna make some arbitrary geometry and fracture it up and then save those to disk. So to do that, I'm going to take like a scoop out of the ground, kind of like that. I'll make it a polygon thing. I'm going to go up to 18, something like that. So it's got lots of resolution. We'll apply a mountain. I like to use Whirly a lot for this kind of stuff, where we can kind of see, it makes interesting rock shapes, I think. Especially when the roughness comes up. Make it an even 0.75. But anyway, we're only going to use this for the below ground stuff anyway, so that should be fine. Let's make a box to intersect it with, and we'll actually also say it's below ground, or like it meets right up with the ground. So I'm going to say like that, that. So again, the top edge is level with the ground. We'll use this as a polygon mesh, give it a whole bunch of divisions. That way, when we do the actual, it'll actually give it a lot more than this. Let's give it like there. Now when we do the Boolean between the two, that fine subdivision will come across too. So here comes the Boolean, intersected, like you can see, and there you go. We got our new shape. There's a few things that we might want to do first, and also never forget rather, to change detriangulate to no polygons, and turn this off usually, if you're going to be subsequently Booleaning these things. So we're doing that. We're going to do the B inside A, which is going to be this top surface here, which if we forget, we can always go to here, look at groups, and we can see B inside A is the top. Cool. So, we have this whole notion of our control panel. I'm going to go back to cool style over here to bring it back. So there it is, actually. Already selected for us. And back in the debris here, let's say that, because we're creating the new surface out of this box here, like that. If I set my color, make sure you make it's a primitive color. Set that there to be the outside color. So just click and drag it on and say absolute channel references, and you can see it's that color now. I guess this might as well be 0.4 also. Great. Material, drop that in. And material is going to be the outside material. Again, same thing, absolute references. So it's that. Now, we have the color mostly for the viewport. The material, I'm going to turn this off. This is viewing the material in the viewport. This will allow us to have more control over rendering later on, when we actually have material settings to play with. In the viewport, the color is fine. So there you go. Let's copy and paste that over to the sphere side also. The sphere is going to represent what's inside. So I'm going to say the inside color will go here, absolute. And the inside material will go here, absolute. And then when we do the Boolean, we now have it. Cool. So that's our starting point. So now we're going to want to fracture this. We're going to want to bust this down way more. So let's scatter a bunch of points using our tried and true method of just making a bunch of, like a high volume here, bunch of divisions. We're going to scatter some points. We're only going to do this once, so we don't need to build some crazy system to make this work. We're just going to fracture this thing one time and save them to disk. You'll remember a lot of this workflow from the previous lesson where we're going to randomize the normals in order to have random orientations, as you can see here. And what are we gonna, those are gonna be our cutting objects to actually cut this thing. Those cutting objects will also be spheres, also polygon, and we're gonna kind of form them into like kind of a rock shape. So let's see, we're gonna want it to be smaller than this because the entire piece that we're gonna fracture is this big. So let's make it like, you know, substantially smaller. So something like that. We're gonna scatter these all over the place and deform them. Let's use a mountain again. Let's use, again, a whirly. Whirly will be fine here. Let's just up the roughness of this a little bit. Maybe something like that. That should be fine. That will get copied to the points. And we're going to want to not have any of these attributes copy over, of course. We don't need any of that. We also don't want any of these groups coming in. If there are any groups. I guess there aren't any. So we got that. So those are going to be all of our cutters. Pretty cool. We'll put another Boolean down. This will be the second and final one for these debris pieces. We don't want it to intersect this time. We want it to shatter. And if we look at this, we can see, well, actually, I didn't hook it up to the right thing. So we want these to be the shattering objects. There we go. So now we've got this. I can already see, though, that there's going to be lots of problems with normals. And prove that to ourselves, we put exploded down. You can see we got nothing. All the new surfaces, basically, have nothing on them. So on our Boolean here, and we don't need to detriangulate because we're not going to do any more Booleans after this, but we do want to have this B inside A. B inside A tends to refer to the new surfaces that were created. And once again, I can go to groups here and see B inside A is in fact all those new surfaces. So what do we need to change for the new surfaces? Well, we want to create normals for the new surfaces. So just say B inside A, we get new normals. We're actually going to want to have normals to begin with, which is why that looks wrong now. So we should have back up here under this Boolean, we should say the surface should have nice normals. So now back down here, this should look okay. Cool. We'll explode that again. So that works, the normals wise works, but we still need to have, let's copy and paste this color material business here and also have those just get applied to the new surfaces. So we drop them down in here. Now another problem occurs, which is everything is getting it. And that's because before, this stuff on the top was the new surface. So we already had a B inside A here. What we need to do is clear that out. We don't want to, otherwise it just merges the groups. So group delete, throw that here. It's running the whole thing again. Let's just get rid of that B inside A. And now the B inside A will go away, as you can see. And now we have a new B inside A. So the normals does, but the color is not B inside A. There we go. Easy. Good. So now we have, save, we have a whole bunch of pieces.